The Disney Company's era of 3D animated films began with Chicken Little in 2005, but none have been quite as successful as the studio's 53rd animated feature film, a little movie you might have heard of called Frozen. After its release, the whole world had Frozen fever, and although the obsession has definitely died down a little bit since then, the cultural relevance of the Frozen franchise has definitely stuck around and I think will continue to stick around. The controversy that was the addition of Frozen in Epcot highlights a huge debate that happens among Disney Parks fans every single time that Disney announces a new ride, and that's the IP debate. The constant argument between people who hate IPs in the parks and think that Disney needs to go back to their roots, and the people who just want to see their favorite Disney movies get representation in the parks. A lot of people are let down when they see that Disney is making Avatar Land or another Tron roller coaster, but if you take a second to look around the Disney parks around the world, then you can see that Disney has actually built many attractions that are based on movies that have little to no modern relevance at all. Some of these attractions have gone by the wayside, and some are still around today. Some are horrifying, and some are actually really amazing, but without a doubt, all 6 of these attractions are based on obscure Disney films. In 1998, Disney's Animal Kingdom opened its gates in Walt Disney World in Florida for the very first time. Tucked in the back corner of the park was the e-ticket attraction of Dino Land USA, Countdown to Extinction. It is also a known fact that this is Disney's scariest attraction they've ever built. Just look at this photo of me on this ride in January of 2021, screaming my head off by myself in the front row, holding on for dear life. Meanwhile, Disney Animation had been working on a brand new project they were sure would excite audiences all around the world.
I was really excited to see it and have it be as good as it was, and to realize that I'm a part of this and everybody's going to see it.
This project would mix computer-generated animation with real-life footage.
Once the dinosaurs were complete, the Disney crew combined these computer-generated characters with the live-action backgrounds.
We would send a scout off to go check out these places and come back with all this photographic reference from all over the place.
And so, in May of 2000, Dinosaur premiered in theaters to pretty mediocre reviews. Some critics praised the realism of the animation, but it was pretty unanimously agreed that the story was lackluster, especially by Disney standards. Nevertheless, it was the 5th most grossing film of the year 2000, and in preparation for the film's release, Disney changed the name of Countdown to Extinction to Dinosaur. Not only that, but a figure of the film's protagonist, Aladar, who everyone remembers, was placed at the entrance of the ride and also in the ride's pre-show. So basically what Disney did with this ride was retroactively make the story of the ride take place in the same universe as the movie. The craziest part about this to me is that in the 21 years that have gone by since the change happened, it's never been removed, despite the movie literally never leaving a significant mark on the company. Dinosaur began Disney's journey of making computer-animated movies, which have produced some of Disney's greatest works, but Dinosaur's reputation is nearly non-existent. I will shamefully admit that I have never actually watched the movie Dinosaur, but now that I'm a super fan of the ride, I guess I'm gonna have to go watch the movie now so that I'm not a poser anymore. Well, since we're already in our time rover, I have another place we could travel to in mind. Let me break out my map here. Yes, here it is. The place is Burbank, California. The year is 1986, and the Walt Disney Animation Studio is on the brink of total combustion. The Black Cauldron will forever be known as the movie that almost destroyed Disney Animation. In the years following Walt Disney's passing, Walt Disney Animation finished up all the projects that the studio was currently working on. When the studio had run out of ideas, they realized that they no longer had any guidance from Walt, and this was really the first time that they were on their own. Going forward with a what would Walt do philosophy, the studio decided to adapt the second book in the Chronicles of Prydain novel series, The Black Cauldron, into a film of the same name. Between 13 animators leaving the studio in the middle of the production and the movie going increasingly over budget, the project seemed doomed from the very beginning. At the time of its release in 1985, it was the most expensive animated film ever made, and it resulted in $23 million in losses for the company, at which point they absolutely flipped out and considered literally never making an animated movie ever again. Despite all the bad luck that seemed to be surrounding this film, in 1986, a new attraction opened in Tokyo Disneyland called Cinderella Castle Mystery Tour. I know you're probably assuming that since the attraction is called Cinderella Castle Mystery Tour and it's located inside of Cinderella Castle, that this attraction might have something to do with Cinderella. And I will tell you that you are absolutely Wrong, because Cindy is nowhere to be found in this tour. It's Cinderella's castle, but come on guys, you can't expect her to be hanging around all the time. I imagine this attraction was in the works at the same time as the film, in anticipation that the film was going to be a success, and it was put into the park even after the film failed in an attempt to help it rise in popularity.
We were just warned to not ride this ride.
This attraction is kind of a bait and switch, making you think that you're going to see all your favorite Disney princesses, when actually this is going to be a walkthrough of one of Disney's biggest failures, and you have all been played. To be brief, this attraction would take you on a tour through Cinderella's beautiful castle, but your tour gets crashed by the Horned King, the villain from the Black Cauldron. By the end of the ride, a special guest is deemed the hero of the group, and they have to use the Sword of Light to defeat the Horned King, and your tour guide leads you out of the castle victoriously. You should definitely check out Defunctland's video on this attraction for a fully in-depth tour of it. Honestly, even though the Black Cauldron is kind of a disaster of a movie, I really love this attraction. The fact that Taran is on the wall of portraits of Disney heroes, and just the entire existence of this attraction really shows what Fantasyland was like before the Renaissance era of Disney animation. When you think of the fantasy icons of Disney, chances are you think of characters like Belle, Ariel, Mulan, Pocahontas, Aladdin, Jasmine. They clearly thought the Black Cauldron was going to save Disney's reputation, but it wouldn't actually happen until a few years later when The Little Mermaid came out in 1989. Aside from the interesting history of this attraction, I just really love what kind of unique experience this offered. I love how bold they were to mask a pretty terrifying attraction with a disguise as whimsical and joyful as the literal castle.
That was really cool, but really messed up.
I think the interactivity in this ride is definitely the most unique interactive attraction Disney has ever designed. Walkthrough attractions to me are quintessential old Disneyland. The idea of a walkthrough experience really harkens back to some of the original ideas for Walt's original Magic Kingdom. Moving over to Florida, the same year that Cinderella Castle Mystery Tour opened in Tokyo, Lancer's Inn at Magic Kingdom in Disney World was renovated into Gurgi's Munchies and Crunchies. I was not able to find any photos of the exterior or signage of the restaurant, but I did find these pictures of the inside where you can see some of the wall art. I always find it so interesting when there's a piece of Disney history like this where there's little to no physical evidence of it. If any of you guys have any photos from your old vacations of Gurgi's Munchies and Crunchies, then tweet them at me. I'd really like to see them. Aw man, look, my time rover's out of gas, and I'm stranded in the middle of the Old West. I guess I'm just gonna have to ask for help in this small, humble farm.
In the land where the men are tough as cactus, out in the land where the wild, wild west was won.
You guys remember Big Thunder Ranch? You may know it today as Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. The next time you hop off Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run and grab a blue milk, take a second to think about the fact that the ground you're standing on has a very long and complicated history. In 2004, Disney released their 45th animated feature film, Home on the Range. Just like with the other strange films Disney released in the early 2000s, they really wanted all their parks guests to know about this movie and go see it in theaters! Please! Disney put a Home on the Range overlay at the Big Thunder Ranch barbecue restaurant in Frontierland. Little Patch of Heaven was constructed within the fencing of this barbecue restaurant. Inside Little Patch of Heaven, you could find some signage referencing the characters, and you could also meet one of the characters. Little Patch of Heaven also had the house of Pearl Gessner? Pearl Gessner? I don't remember this movie at all. And this was basically just where you could go in and look at screenshots from the movie. When the overlay opened to the public, the Orange County Register reported that it would be permanent. The overlay was temporarily removed to make way for the holiday overlay in the Christmas of 2005, but after the holidays were over, the overlay just never came back. And I think the reason why I haven't heard anyone mention this overlay before, besides Yesterland of course, is that it seems really unimportant. But to me, there is no unimportant part of Disney Parks history. I mean, the butterfly effect is so strong that, who knows, maybe if this overlay wouldn't have happened, we never would have gotten Flight of Passage, right? Maybe? I don't know. I still find it super interesting. Anyway, my time rover's all gassed up now, but we've been driving for a really long time. I'd really like to take a break and get out into the wilderness, breathe in the fresh air and spend some time with the animals. Maybe some bears? Disney released their 44th animated feature film, Brother Bear, in October of 2003 to mixed reviews from critics and audiences, and extremely positive reviews from a 4-year-old me. Naturally, as a child, I spent a whole lot of time playing in the Redwood Creek Challenge Trail at Disney's California Adventure because it was Brother Bear themed. The Redwood Creek Challenge Trail was an opening day attraction at Disney's California Adventure, but in 2003, the Brother Bear overlay was added. The characters would have meet and greets in there, and there was a Brother Bear totem statue right outside the entrance. Inside the forest-themed area, you could also watch a show in the amphitheater called The Magic of Brother Bear. The best part of this whole area, to me, is the Spirit Cave, where you could enter, place your hand on the cave walls, and see your spirit animal and exactly what that means. The Redwood Creek Challenge Trail itself is just kind of a vaguely nature-themed area, and other than the Brother Bear theming, it was mostly just little climbing areas and also a little zip line geared towards younger kids. But just like Big Thunder Ranch I talked about earlier, it's an attraction that's very easy to overlay. So since Brother Bear didn't exactly age to be a classic, it was changed to the Wilderness Explorer Trail in 2011, since Up had proved to be a much more instant classic than Brother Bear ever was. So that must have been the end of the Brother Bear representation in the parks, right? Wrong! You can actually still go into the spirit caves inside the Redwood Creek Challenge Trail to this very day. You can still place your hand on the cave wall and find your spirit animal, and you can even still take a picture with that totem statue of Kenai and Coda, because that statue remains at the entrance. For some reason. I really love everything interactive in the Disney parks, and even though the Redwood Creek Challenge Trail has always mainly been a place for little kids to let off some steam and run around, I always pop in to check and see if my spirit animal is still a beaver when I'm in DCA. By the way, a beaver means I'm hardworking and industrious, and that's definitely not accurate. Even so, I am quite determined to get this time rover back to the Dino Institute. But I can't seem to find my way back. I'm totally lost here, guys. Oh, wait, what's this? Oh, look, I found a shortcut. I'll just drive through this, state fair? Coming off the poor reception of The Black Cauldron, an idea to adapt the book Oliver Twist into the next Disney animated musical was put on the table and approved, presumably in a desperate attempt to return to their animated musical roots after suffering such a loss with The Black Cauldron. Oliver and Company was released in November of 1988, and although the critical reception was better than that of The Black Cauldron, most people thought it just wasn't Disney's best. Personally, it was one of my favorite movies as a child, and it seems to have kind of a cult following these days. But even despite that, this film has never gotten big recognition from fans or from Disney themselves. Let's hop over to Disneyland in Anaheim for a second. So from 1987 to 1988, it was our good friend Michael Eisner's idea to have a Disney State Fair to boost attendance in the off-season. This state fair had Ferris wheels on Main Street, midway games by It's a Small World, pig races, and parades featuring John Deere tractors. Anyway, from what I could tell, the parade that they would run while the state fair was going on had the tractors and also some live animals coming down Main Street, but it was only on this particular video that I found where I saw this parade float. This is an Oliver and Company parade float. This is still the one and only Oliver and Company representation in the parks that I have been able to find. From what I can gather, it seems like this float went out on Main Street before any of the regular state fair floats, you know, the tractors. It's sad to think that these costumes for Oliver and Company are probably decayed or destroyed now. My heart wants to believe that they've been kept in pristine condition in the archives, but I don't know how likely that is. Oliver and Company is a beloved movie of my childhood, and even though it's pretty much been totally forgotten at this point, every now and then I run into someone who also loved it as a child and wish it got more appreciation. I would pay so much money to be able to see this float in a parade someday. I can only hope that one day maybe Disneyland will do a hard-ticketed after-dark event called State Fair Night or something, where they bring back all the State Fair stuff and we get to see this parade again. And the tractors. Gosh, I'm so tired from driving around in this time rover all day long. I think I need to just doze off in the back seat for a little while. I sure hope I don't experience some insane fever dream while I'm asleep.
The sky is falling! The sky is falling!
The sky is falling!
Are you crazy?
Some of the highest grossing and most well-received Disney movies were made in the era of 3D animation that began all the way back in 2000 with Dinosaur, and is still ongoing today with the latest release, Encanto. But Disney had to get through an era of really weird 3D animated movies in order to get to where they are today. Films like Dinosaur, Meet the Robinsons, Bolt, and the one I will be talking about today, Chicken Little. It's important to note here that Chicken Little was groundbreaking for the Disney company because it's actually the first fully computer animated Disney movie. movie. Because of this feat in animation, Disney really wanted you to watch Chicken Little in theaters in November of 2005. And just to make sure that all of the diehard Chicken Little fans got what their hearts wanted, like mine, they thought that the best way to represent the films in the parks was with a massive Chicken Little head at both coasts, no less. This is definitely the most self-explanatory overlay of them all. I mean, what else can I say about this? It's a giant Chicken Little head. I almost cut this one from the list, but I just had to keep it in the video because of what I came across when I was researching. I found a Reddit post from 2020 where someone asked about possibly having a false memory of a rubber chicken falling from the ceiling of the Haunted Mansion, and this person replied with, DCA had a large chicken peeking over the park gate, Haunted Mansion's rubber chicken fall, and Space Mountain had a bizarre overlay Henperspace Mountain. Also, you could get a mini pack of those chicken and a biscuit crackers at the Bread Factory tour. After finding this Reddit thread, I went completely insane. I scoured the entire internet, desperately trying to find any little scrap of evidence that these bizarre attractions existed. Another Redditor responded, "What? I remember the giant chicken at DCA, but I literally cannot remember the rest of this and can find zero sources on it. I did find that from fall/winter of 05 and 06, they were doing a Haunted Mansion holiday, so it wouldn't make sense to also do the Chicken Little thing in there at the same time. So I really wanted to put this in the video in hopes that this video will reach some Disney Parks fans out there so that I can see for myself if this was a weird fluke of a Reddit comment or if this is like a legitimate Mandela effect for people. Let me know in the comments if you're from the reality where there was a Chicken Little overlay of Space Mountain and the Haunted Mansion. Anyway, regarding the Chicken Little head in the park, which we know for sure was real and actually happened and I'm not crazy, the buzz around Chicken Little was definitely sparking interest in people. I found a Mice Chat discussion from 2005 in the middle of the Chicken Little hype era where a poster said this: now that Chicken Little has made in excess of $100 million in theaters and is a blockbuster, it goes without saying that Disney will continue to make much more through video sales and the sales of a wide variety of Chicken Little merchandise at Disney stores and elsewhere. Disney is certain to Imagineer at least one Chicken Little based attraction. Please take my survey of the attraction you would most like to see at Disneyland Resort, Disneyland proper, or DCA. Invasion of Oakley Oaks 3D attraction to replace Honey, I Shrunk the Audience. Chicken Little scores, high tech, interactive dark ride. Cluck Mobile City, test track type of ride. Chicken Little's Galaxy Trek with big voice, Omnimover e-ticket. Robotic cop traffic zap, indoor/outdoor high-tech Mad Mouse coaster. Fish out of water, Dumbo-like spinner. Sky is falling, sky ride related ride. This was just such a hilarious nugget of the internet to find because it seemed like some people legitimately felt like Chicken Little would do well with genuine park representation. And it just kind of makes me realize that most of the time Disney Imagineers are really good at figuring out what IPs will not only be popular now, but will remain relevant and age well. And ultimately, I think that the Imagineers realized that it was entirely possible that Chicken Little wouldn't age gracefully. Let me know in the comments which Chicken Little attraction you wish got built. Mine is definitely the fish out of water spinner ride. Phew, that was a lot of information I just threw at you. And a whole lot of time roving. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and remember, if you do anything bad, ever, Chicken Little sees you. He sees you. Always.